This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
And welcome everybody to the Monday Night Raw review for Tuesday, September 27th, 2022, as Raw came live to you last night from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I thought it was a decent show overall. I don't think it was one that you're going to remember forever, but the Edge return was nice to see at the very end of the show. We had more great heat and really a nicely woven storyline once again through Monday Night Raw with the Judgment Day that I think continues to shine and be resurrected from the dead after where it was left in shambles after Edge was ousted from the group. It has really been a shining light of Monday Night Raw. It's a storyline that I think is getting more interesting by the week, and with the inclusion of AJ Styles in the equation that we knew he wasn't going to actually join, now you have a very interesting dynamic. It's not the six-man tag match that I had predicted with Rey and Edge and AJ versus Damian and Finn and Dominic. That's not what's going to happen here. It could happen at the next event in Saudi Arabia, but I don't know how they don't get to that, because like I said, that match will be meant for the moment that both Dom and Rey are tagged in. And what happens? Does Rey defend himself? What happens? So that'll be building to that moment. And it doesn't seem like Extreme Rules is going to be the place for it. That's okay. They're clearly on a long-term journey with this, and I'm on board. I'm buckled in, and take me wherever they want to go with that. So Extreme Rules, though, it looks like we're going to get Edge and Finn Balor in an I Quit match, which is an interesting turn of events. But I think that Finn Balor is one of those guys that was on the list for Edge to compete, that he wanted to work with upon his before his real retirement. I think that is a name that is on Edge's list that he wanted to work with, and good for him. He's getting to work with Finn. And that's going to be fun to watch, because you know what both men bring to the table. There's no way it's going to be a bad match, and they're both veterans. And I think that there's a mutual respect there, no doubt. And the I Quit match is interesting because it almost never allows the babyface to say I quit unless there's extenuating circumstances, like when Jey Uso faced Roman Reigns when the whole bloodline started, and he was going to basically kill Jimmy if he didn't say I quit, and he did. And so there's extenuating circumstances that would warrant a babyface saying I quit. So it does beg the question, how is Finn going to not say I quit, given he's one of the co-leaders of this group, and that group is on the rise? What happens? You know, how do they get out of that? I don't know. But also, we saw a QR code flash for like half a second on our screen that people have decoded as a white rabbit. Now, I haven't paused it and put a QR code scanner in, but this would tell me that it is not Edge. People have speculated that the white rabbit is Edge. It is not. Clearly, it's not. I think it has a lot to do with, I do believe Bray Wyatt's on his way back. I think that it is something that is inevitable. I hope that Bray Wyatt, Wyndham, is in a better headspace than he was when he left with the passing of his good friend John Huber and Luke Harper. And so I would imagine, hopefully, that he's in, the rest of his life is more balanced out than it was. And yeah, I mean, who knows? But from a mental standpoint is really the most important part of this for Bray Wyatt. And if he's indeed ready to return, then I think the fans would wholeheartedly embrace him with open arms, open legs. All right, well, maybe not open legs. All right? Let's reverse that. in the interest of keeping things raw here, no pun intended, I'm not going to edit that out. See, these are the things that I edit out that you guys just don't hear. And I'm going to keep that in. It's borderline PG, but I really didn't mean to say that. So I really do believe, though, that this is Bray Wyatt. Who he's going to attack, when, I mean, speculation runs rampant. Clearly coming back as a babyface, though. He could truly be the one to face Roman Reigns and beat Roman Reigns. Why not? Why not? Why Bray Wyatt coming back and beating Roman? We'll have to see if that QR code or any kind of wonkiness shows up on SmackDown. If it does, then especially near or around a Roman Reigns segment on Friday, keep a lookout for that, because that will tell you that it could be perhaps that Bray Wyatt is targeting Roman Reigns, which I think would be a lot of fun. And there is some history there. So Bray Wyatt could be the one to take it away from Roman. Hey, sign me up. I don't care if Hornswoggle takes it away from Roman. As long as one of those belts leaves Roman's shoulders, it doesn't matter to me. It could be, what's his name? Kevin Federline. Remember when he came in? Anybody remember that? Kevin Federline coming in and John Cena gave him an AA. I think it was like 05. Somewhere around there when he was actually relevant, and only relevant because he dated Britney Spears. Or Snooki. Remember when Snooki had a WrestleMania moment? Oh my God. The nightmares. But anyway, I have no idea where that came from. Let's continue on with Monday Night Raw. But first, welcome to the WWE podcast, everybody. We have a really exciting week coming up because it's not a pay-per-view week or a premium live event week, but we have the 100th episode of the Mailbag tomorrow night. And in celebration of that, I've been thinking about what to do. Now, I'll still have the normal Mailbag show, but tomorrow night also is my video recording night for my video streaming service that I'm on the DuPont network, DuPontNow.com. But I also want to do something live, either on Facebook or on the Blog Talk Radio, where people can call in. So why don't you guys let me know? Would you like it to be a YouTube live stream just to kind of chat with you guys? Or would you rather have a live call-in show on Blog Talk Radio? Which one? One of them costs money, the other doesn't. So I have a vested interest in your choices. But let me know. You can email me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, or if you're a patron, you can just leave a comment underneath this episode. So let's get to some other stuff that happened on Monday Night Raw. Of course, is Edge's return, which is the big story here that at the end of the show. Seth versus Rey Mysterio. Seth defeated Rey via submission with a new cool little wrinkle into Seth Rollins' repertoire, and it was the Peruvian necktie. Never heard of it. I like the name. It's got a suave name to it, Peruvian necktie. Although it does kind of sound sexual. Anyway, so Dominic distracted Rey and allowed Rhea to hit Rey from behind. That set up Rollins to hit a stomp before locking in the necktie to send a message to Matt Riddle ahead of their match in the fight pit, because Lord knows how important momentum is in every match leading up to a pay-per-view. I'm being as sarcastic as sarcasm will allow. Momentum means zero. It's a false, empty narrative that all the announcers drive home on every WWE event. They are somehow poisoned with this word of momentum, and it doesn't mean a thing, because we all know momentum means jack, you know what, okay? Momentum doesn't win matches. Momentum doesn't win championships, okay? It doesn't. Sorry to say. But anyway, all right. I think I think the reason they say that is it's because when they don't have anything on the line, when there's no championship on the line or championship contention on the line, they don't know what to say. They're just like, oh, guys, what are they fighting for? What do you think, Bob? What do you think, Stan? And they're looking around like, what are they fighting for? We got to say something. How about momentum? And it's like, okay. Instead of, pride. How about, they can say pride. I mean, what's wrong with that? Pride is on the line. Why momentum? Nobody's fighting for momentum. They're fighting for victories. Let's keep it simple. Momentum is one of those no words for me. Is if you've heard the show long enough, you know that I've ranted about this enough, but it's so just old and tired and means nothing. It's so empty. It's empty. It's an empty vessel of a soul. Just nothing. All right, let's move on. So Seth Rollins, again, beat Rey Mysterio via submission. And then let's see what else happened. Oh, Kevin Owens and Johnny Gargano take out Alpha Academy when Gargano hit Gable with one final beat. Theory came to ringside to try to aid the Alpha Academy, but it didn't work. And then Alpha Academy and Theory were talking about getting revenge on Gargano and Gable, and received when Gable received a call from Braun Strowman challenging him to a match next week. So essentially, it's a squash match. I mean, I don't need to see Strowman and Gable. Why do you need to call him? Who calls him for that? Like, isn't that a textable thing? And wouldn't you also talk to Adam Pearce? Although he's been kind of deemed useless. I think Triple H quietly got rid of Adam Pearce in terms of an on-air managerial role. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird that you call somebody and say, hey, you want to have a match next week? It's like, I thought we didn't make the matches. And this is textable, dude. Send that good old text. All right. And aren't you at the show? No? Aren't you supposed to be here? Anyway, so this match with Kevin Owens and Johnny Gargano and Alpha Academy was a lot of fun. I will say I miss Kevin Owens on the mic. I want him on the microphone. I miss Kevin Owens on the microphone where he was going rogue, it felt like, for a few weeks. Running down Sami Zayn, having an extremely unexpectedly good promo with Drew McIntyre. Theory, talking about how I've seen guys like you come and go, you're a dime a dozen. How many guys like me have stuck around? That kind of stuff. And then he's just, again, he's there on a weekly basis in prominent matchups. That's good. Absolutely. But I don't know. Maybe I've got spoiled with Kevin Owens on the microphone being so good for those few weeks that now when he doesn't really get a chance to talk, I feel like I've been cheated out of something. But that's just I guess sometimes it's too much of a good thing. And so maybe I shouldn't have it every week. But once you hear him and watch him on the microphone, you're like, how is this guy not a champion? He may not look like Vince McMahon's wet dream, but fans don't care about that. And fans have proven that over the years that they don't care about that. Only Vince seemed to care about that. And Kevin Owens is a future world champion. And hopefully in the short term. But, all right. Finn Balor again made a pitch for AJ to join the Judgment Day. He got rejected again and then again in the ring, which led to the beatdown. We'll get to that. But Finn was rejected by AJ Styles as he tried to do the too sweet thing. And we'll get to it. But Omos, in very important news, Omos won another handicap match over enhancement talent. I don't even remember the names. Omos won, guys. He won his match, and it is earth-shattering. It's probably going to trend on Twitter soon that Omos beat enhancement talent in a squash match. It's I've never seen this before. I wonder where it's going to go. Okay, enough of that. I'm very surprised they don't have anything for Omos. He has retrograded a bit, and maybe he needed it. Maybe Triple H felt he needed it. And if he did, and he just needs to get more reps in, and he just needs more on-air live time in front of an audience to work out kinks or figure out his character or whatever, that's totally cool. I just hope that it's not because they don't know what the hell to do with them. Because we all know what that leads to. So I don't know what they're doing with Omos. I don't. Then they're treading water. He's a hamster on a wheel, just spinning, going nowhere right now. So if you're an Omos fan, it's not great, but at least he's on TV every week, so there's that. Just to watch him, roar and hit his choke bomb. So there is that. Okay, Dexter Loomis attacked The Miz backstage. Miz hired some kind of crack security team, and he offered them. Did he offer them like $1 million if they captured Loomis or something? And he had a funny nickname for them, like the Miz something. Somebody out there is yelling it. He had some interesting name for them. And Miz hired that security team, but it was taken out by Loomis, who dressed like an Edmonton Oilers statue and attacked the Miz with a hockey stick before choking him out. This was there's a couple of things I have to say about this, good and bad. The bad part is the security team looked like a cartoonish stack of bodies. Everyone was perfectly knocked out. Nobody had any marks on them. Everybody was just knocked out. Perfectly still, like they were asleep. I mean, I understand the effect they were going for, and it sounds better on paper than when you see it in execution. I understand the effect that Dexter Loomis took them all out single-handedly, but it looked very cartoonish and silly. It looked very silly. I wasn't a fan of the way that the security team was just piled on top of each other like I was watching, Bugs Bunny or something. It was cartoonish. But the part that got me is I did not expect Dexter Loomis to be in that hockey suit. It fooled me. And maybe it didn't you, but it fooled me. And I was like, oh, cool. Dexter Loomis with that stare is always money. We still don't know the motive behind the attacks. We still don't know. We don't know. Maybe we'll never know the motive behind the attacks of from Dexter Loomis on The Miz. And we got Dexter beating the hell out of him with a hockey stick and then choking him out again. So I would imagine that this is going to result in a matchup at Extreme Rules between these two. Now, what matchup that is remains to be seen. I don't know. A steel cage match? It can't be a normal match, you would think, given the awkward nature, unique nature of this program. But I don't know. This is just kind of those lighthearted. It's a lighthearted program that you're mildly invested in, and you enjoy Dexter Loomis's stare. You don't understand the motive. Nobody does, but it's entertaining and something you can kind of take not too seriously. So there's that. And there's a place for that in wrestling shows. That said, I would like to see Dexter Loomis at some point beyond a half comedic program with The Miz. But for now, I'm okay with this. I really don't have any issues with the way they've used Dexter Loomis in very creative ways over the last several weeks now. So, okay. Something really interesting, but also surprising and good that came of this next match of Candice LeRae taking out Nikki A.S.H. With an avalanche swinging neckbreaker. Really good finish, by the way. I like that. LeRae, this is obviously her debut on Raw from NXT. I believe she was in Toxic Attraction. Am I wrong on that? This is so sad that I should actually ask that because I don't watch NXT. But the crowd was really behind Candice LeRae, and Nikki A.S.H. got booed, but kind of mildly, indifferently booed. Just kind of like, oh, you're still here? That boring, right? But here's the good part. Candice LeRae gets a victory, and I like her avalanche swinging neckbreaker. It's a nice finish. It's a different finish. How many finishes do you see off the second rope? And how many finishes are swinging neckbreakers? It's nice. It's different. So big props on the swinging neckbreaker finish. The good thing is, to me, out of this, what I took from this is, yeah, Candice LeRae made her debut, but Nikki A.S.H. seems to finally be going through a character transformation. She's at a crossroads once again. No pun intended. And the A.S.H. part is gone, hopefully. How do I know this? She loses the match. It actually made it on Hulu, which tells you that they have something in store for this story. And she was holding her mask after the matchup in kind of distress, sitting in the corner of the ring holding the mask, crying. That tells me she's going through some kind of transformation. Good. Goodbye, Nikki A.S.H. And maybe she'll go back to the psychotic version of herself. I hope she doesn't go back to the kind of silly, giddy, awkwardly positioned Alexa Bliss kind of tag along. I know some people enjoyed that. I didn't. I like the psychotic Nikki Cross, but maybe she'll kind of find a hybrid of herself. I don't know, but this does tell you that Nikki is going through some kind of transformation after the loss here to Candice. And I think all fans around the world can say, thank you, Jesus, because Nikki, when she adopted this silly superhero gimmick, felt to me very desperation. It stunk of desperation, as if like she didn't know and creative didn't know what to do with her. And, she said, why don't I dress up as like a superhero? Don't fire me. I'll do anything. I'll dress up as a superhero and I'll be a hero for kids. And they're like, okay, Nikki, but this is the last chance. It felt very generically desperate. Like they didn't know what else to do. So they just run her out there as this weird superhero that isn't a superhero. And I thought it was awful from the beginning. I would have booed the hell out of it. It organically the fans turned on it as they should have. And then she's been relegated to essentially a enhancement talent, like a main roster enhancement talent for a while. And obviously Nikki has more to offer than that. So I'm sure she's happy to drop this gimmick. I'm sure she's happy to move on to something new. And whether it's heel or face, I think she could do it. I could see her coming out next week or being interviewed backstage with the kind of still depressed and holding the mask. And she's trying to find her identity. She's trying to find herself. She's trying to figure out who she is. Right. And that's, to me, a fun journey to take me on. Where are you going? Right. It just at least tells us, the fans, that you've moved on and we're ready for you too. So that's good. All right. Let's see. Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles. Man, it goes to show that Sami Zayn is not just this comedic side act and this kind of tag along of the bloodline and the butt of a joke and all that. He is a legit in-ring wrestler, competitor. And we forget that at times. We forget what he was prior to the hair growing out and all the conspiracy theory stuff. Remember him and Shinsuke Nakamura? It was at one of the NXT takeovers. Remember that? Remember all the battles he had with Kevin Owens in NXT and outside of NXT? We forget just how legit he is. And when he debuted against John Cena and tore his, I think it was his rotator cuff before he even got in the ring by like just putting his hands up and down really quick. He was just too excited or something. Remember that? Sami Zayn, but prior to this whole persona he's adopted of the conspiracy theorists and all that, and the documentary he was apparently filming and all that there's a conspiracy against him, which I was hoping would actually be a documentary. It's not, but so all that, we forget all that, and I think that is going to come to the forefront once he finally gets ousted from the bloodline. Which if you want to hear an in-depth conversation and analysis on Sami Zayn and what the ultimate destination is for Sami Zayn, you can listen to our previous episode that Anthony DeMarco and I did last night. It's the current state of WWE, but the title is something to the effect of, what is the ultimate, what's the end game, I think is what I said. What's the end game for Sami Zayn? So check that out. I'd really encourage you. We go in depth on that. But this match here with AJ Styles was really good. It also reminds you how good AJ Styles is and makes you miss AJ Styles here on a weekly basis. He beat AJ with a haluva kick, but of course it was because Solo Sikoa hit Styles with a Uranagi on a ring apron, which allowed Sami to hit that hell of a kick. And he won. He beat AJ Styles, and that's when the Judgment Day beat down AJ Styles, and that's when Finn gave him one last chance. Finn put up the too sweet sign. AJ then was about to look like he was gonna, and then just flipped off Finn Balor, and they were beating him down, about to crush his neck, and Balor stopped and said, "I could have ended your career right now, but that's not what friends do to each other." So it was a nice segment there. I thought I really enjoyed this. I did. I thought that Sami Zayn and AJ Styles is really good to watch. Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa have an interesting chemistry together, and AJ Styles being involved in this is just that much better, that much sweeter, because AJ Styles needs that kind of reinvigoration of his career. Like AJ Styles for a while has been directionless. I don't know where he's been. Where's he going? What are we doing? AJ Styles has been MIA, with Omos, not with Omos, beat down by Omos, then gone for, it felt like months and months. And now he's back and he's involved, shot right into the storyline with the Judgment Day. And I'm all for it because AJ is not with a tag team partner, as he should not be anymore. And he is he's involved in a very prominent storyline in WWE. So this is good. You know, do I see AJ Styles as world champion, though? I'd like to see one more run in him, but I don't know if the company wants to put that on AJ, even for a 4 or 5 month run at this point. But anyway, good to see AJ back. Good to see Sami Zayn and AJ go at it, because that is a pay-per-view quality match ready to go anytime. Just plug and play. Just plug and play. So, but all right, well, I think that wraps up the whole Monday Night Raw. Now, next week, if we're previewing next week, we do have Braun Strowman versus Chad Gable. I feel like we've already seen this, but there has to be something up the sleeve here of Chad Gable, because we already know Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman took them both out, Chad and Otis, at once. Braun Strowman has beaten Otis. He's beaten Chad. Now he's going to have a match with Chad again. There's something going on here, and I don't know what it is. What the Alpha Academy has up their sleeve. Who's going to come out to attack Braun Strowman? Because this kind of a match that's advertised in advance can't just be a squash match. Squash matches or enhancement talent matches, or those very lopsided matches, 99% of the time are not advertised ahead of time. This tells you that there's something else going on with these individuals. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is telling you that Braun Strowman's next opponent will be revealed. His true next opponent. That's what I think this matchup is for. Also next week, Johnny Gargano is taking on Otis. That'll be a much more fun match from a in-ring perspective, from a competition perspective, from, can Johnny Gargano pull off the upset against the tree trunk Otis? He'll have to rely on his speed and his quickness and his agility to outmaneuver Otis, right? That'll be the narrative. And that's fine, because Johnny Gargano against anyone is a good match. And Otis, while Otis is a much stronger, slower individual with his maneuvers, or his pace in the ring, rather, that's fine, because I think it complements Johnny Gargano that much more. I don't need both guys going 100 miles an hour. That contrast in style really helps out the pacing, and I like this matchup. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll have to see what happens there. And I think that's it. Of course, we'll have to follow up next week with Edge and Finn Balor, who are going to have their I Quit match at Extreme Rules. And then right after Extreme Rules, boom, we are right fast forwarding into the beloved Crown Jewel pay-per-view that is taking place November 5th. And you know, one thing I also noticed, and it's an admission by WWE without actually admitting it. The matchup between Roman Reigns and Logan Paul is clearly nothing more than appeasing the prince of Saudi Arabia. It's clearly it's happening for no other reason other than money. That's it. The reason I know that is, well, number one, the financials, and we all know if you look up the deal that WWE has with Saudi Arabia, it's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I understand why they're doing it, and I don't blame them. But also, you notice that outside of just kind of like video package reminders, the last couple weeks, they've done nothing else. If this was a match that the United States fans really cared about, and they felt the general audience really cared about, and wasn't going to boo Logan Paul off the face of the earth for this, they would be having him come out and cut promos, or, pay Roman to at least show up to a Raw or two and confront him. That's not happening. It's not happening. And I don't think that it's a smart idea to keep Logan Paul, or put Logan Paul in front of an audience unless you absolutely have to, because they know that the fans are really not into this. They feel the fans don't think Logan Paul's earned this, and he hasn't. Let's be honest. I mean, there's nobody that could argue to me coherently that Logan Paul has earned this on his own accord, right? He's earned this. No, he's earned the respect of fans to get in the door, and you've shown us that you're going to take this seriously. Sure. Yeah. But it's a whole different universe of conversation to say that he is in the championship contenders discussion. I mean, that's just a joke, and this is nothing more than just completely exploiting the followers that Logan Paul has. That's it. That's the only reason this dude is being put in the main event. So at the same time, for all of my complaining about this, I don't blame WWE for doing it. And I would do the same thing. I would just say, guys, we're just going to suck it up. We're going to try to kind of promote this at the bare minimum to our United States fans, protect Logan Paul by not putting him in front of an audience here, a live audience, maybe do video packages, do backstage interviews, pre-taped interviews, sit-down interviews, all that kind of stuff. We'll just kind of hang tight here for the next week and a half, 2 weeks really, and then we'll just, get through the event, and then we'll go back to regularly scheduled time, right? Like, let's get to Survivor Series. That's the next real pay-per-view as we kind of take a Fantasyland stop into Saudi Arabia. That's really what this is. It's a Fantasyland premium live event, and we just have to chalk it up. And as fans, we have to kind of understand that it's a event that is just weird because matches that are on this crown jewel event just don't feel right. They often feel forced. Like Goldberg. How many times Goldberg has had to be on that event? Was that when Goldberg and Undertaker had a match? I believe at a Saudi Arabia event. I mean, it's just bad. Shawn Michaels coming out of his retirement home. Out of retirement and coming back bald, which was really the most catastrophic part of that whole thing. And yes, the matchup with the Brothers of Destruction versus DX at that event was bad, and everybody got injured or hurt or whatever. But it also, the biggest atrocity to me was Shawn Michaels' bald head. I just couldn't get over it. But by the way, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, if you're kind of new, go back and watch D-Generation X versus the Brothers of Destruction. I think it was 3-4 years ago at a Saudi Arabia event. It was a disaster. Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement should have never happened, but obviously it was a massive payday for him. And Shawn Michaels ended up, I think Shawn Michaels got hurt. Triple H tore his pec. Undertaker got hurt. Kane's mask fell off. It was an unmitigated, embarrassing disaster. And so anyway, that kind of stuff happens at this event, and anything at Crown Jewel to me is almost inconsequential. Like it's just, anyway. All right. We're not there yet. We have enough time. We have like 6 weeks until this event happens in Saudi Arabia. But in the interim, with Extreme Rules, I think that there's some things that are going to happen here that I think are going to start new programs, or rather end new programs to start ones. I think that after this whole thing is over, we could be looking at the end of Edge versus the Judgment Day, although that 6-man tag I spoke about earlier is probably going to rear its head in Saudi Arabia or at Survivor Series. But to me, I look at this Extreme Rules event and say, all right, this is interesting. We've got no Roman Reigns here, but we've got some solid matchups. Rollins and Riddle in this fight pit match. That's going to be fun. And, you've also got is there any United States Championship match or an Intercontinental? I don't think so. That's kind of weird. But we've got Bayley and Bianca Belair, which I didn't even talk about that. Bianca Belair and Bayley, and they had a program or a dialogue to open Raw. It was fine. Bianca Belair, saying I earned this, and Bayley kind of claiming that she's been wanting to do this since she was 12, and Bianca was handed everything, and Bianca said she wasn't handed everything. She's had to work for everything and all that kind of stuff. It was your standard heel babyface promo that I think was effective because it reminded fans that Bianca wasn't the chosen person, and she wasn't. Bianca Belair busted her ass. So that's all true. And I'm looking forward to the matchup with Bianca and Bayley. I do wonder if Bayley actually has a legitimate chance to beat Bianca. I know that many of you out there think she doesn't, but Bayley's in a newly formed group. She said her mission is to take over the WWE. She already has 2 members that are carrying gold. Why not put the gold all in that faction? Just a little suggestion. All right, let's see here. So, given that I have a little extra time, I want to go through some of the news that's circulating, and this is from Wrestling Inc. And the title of this article is that Triple H is reportedly accelerating a cosmetic change to the WWE product. And here's some of the notes from this article. It says the changes in WWE have kept on coming ever since Nick Khan and Stephanie became co-CEOs, with Triple H taking the chief content officer role. The latest report from Fightful notes that all signs point to another big change coming soon. Sources close to the situation have indicated there are at least 3 new sets of title belts that are finished and in the possession of WWE. Belt fan Dan previously noted how new tag team championships have been created and are described as being the existing design dual-plated black strap and having a stacked large WWE logo in the center. They also have the old, never-used tags, which are the women's tag style on colored straps. So, in essence, it seems like they're getting a bit of a paint change, a paint job change, if you will, for the championship belts. And, I think it's time. I have to say, I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the design of championships and whether I like them or not. It's not something I really have ever dove into. But off the top of my head, and this is a very subjective topic, you may or may not agree with me, I think that the Universal and the WWE are just fine. Very simple. No, don't need to overcomplicate it. I know some people love that old WCW massive gold plate that they used to carry around, and I understand. But I think those don't need to change. I don't even think the women's championships need to change. What I don't like, I really, really despise, are the tag team championships. I don't like the way that they look. They look like a KB Toys. Just kind of, I bought it off the shelf. Like, it doesn't look professional. It looks, to me, cartoonish. So I don't like the tag team championship look. Intercontinental's fine to me. United States Championship I really like. So, yeah, I mean, if they want to do a bit of a facelift for them, I mean, for some of the belts, sure, by all means. But I wouldn't just change every belt to change every belt. Let me know what you guys think about that. I've never really talked about that. I've never asked you guys about the belts themselves. Do you have a favorite? Which ones would you change? Are you in favor of Triple H maybe putting a new coat of paint, so to speak, on some of these championship belts? Let me know. Let's see here. What else? What else is going on? So some of you have asked me, many of you have asked me, what the hell is going on with the Hulu WWE agreement? And for a while, there was like a week where I wasn't able to get content on Hulu. And I have Hulu almost exclusively for WWE. And I was trying to, I had to go on the back webs, right? Go to Daily Motion and, go through the ads to watch the show. Do like kind of the back interwebs. And here's the latest, though. This is updated as of today. So like only a couple hours ago. It says WWE and Hulu have been in a back and forth negotiation that keeps pushing back the expiration of WWE's content on the streaming platform. PW Insider is reporting that Hulu has moved the expiration date to this Friday, the 29th, a deal that was initially set to expire last Saturday and then reportedly moved to the following day before finally settling on the latest reported date. According to PW Insider discussions, the discussions are still ongoing between the two companies, and WWE has been presenting next day content on Hulu since 2012, and Hulu has traditionally run the first run of WWE's syndicated programming with the rest of them. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Hulu has the exclusive rights to next day content, meaning no other platform anywhere, even the WWE network itself, cannot air next day WWE programming. Not your local cable provider, Spectrum, Comcast, none of that. Hulu has those exclusive rights, and they've been with WWE for 10 years. So, I would imagine that if they're pushing back the date to the 29th of this Friday, that they just needed a couple extra days to a week to kind of put the final touches on the deal that they've probably agreed in principle of, the big items that they want to address, whatever those items are. Money, obviously, and probably length of the agreement. I'm sure those are two critical pieces, but if they've agreed on those, maybe they just need to wrap up, a few things, cross their T's, dot their I's, or dot their T's and cross their I's. I don't know. But that's what that tells me. They wouldn't extend it through another week or two when negotiations are still happening if they didn't think a negotiation would be finalized before the expiration date. So that's what I think. I think that they will come to an agreement over the next couple of days, and it'll be announced, and we can all, those of us that care about Hulu, like myself, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. So, all right. Well, I believe that does wrap things up for me here. So tomorrow I will be trying to do the mailbag. We'll see what happens there. I try to do double duty on Wednesdays. It's the toughest day of the week for me, but if not, it does come out Thursdays. And I want to know what you guys want to do for the 100th episode of the mailbag. Again, normal episode will be airing. I'll be answering all your questions, but do you guys want a live YouTube kind of a conversation, or do you want a call-in show, all that kind of stuff? Let me know. Comment, email me, realwwepodcast@gmail.com, and I would love to know. You can also support the show. Great way to do it is at any place that you give ratings. 5-star ratings are much appreciated. If you want to crap on the show, you can do that too, because guess what? It still helps us out in ratings and rankings, but also you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/WWE podcast for $1 a month. It gets you in the door. There's other tiers that get you much other higher benefits, but $1 gets you in the door for ad-free everything for hundreds. I gotta have at least on Patreon, I have 500 plus episodes at this point for $1. Jeez. All right. I gotta start charging more, I think. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I will be back hopefully tomorrow, if not Thursday, with your mailbag. And thank you everybody for listening. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.